This week in post, culling your photos, what to look for, when to keep something, when to throw it away. Hi everybody, I'm Scott Davenport and welcome to your post. This week's video is a little different. I'm not going to be doing post-processing as far as developing a photo, but this is post-processing related, or at least the post part of shooting related. It's culling your images, and you've gone on a shoot, you've come back with a bunch of photos, and you need to decide what to work on, which ones to throw away, which ones to keep. And I thought I'd go through that with the photos I took from this outing at Bird Rock, which I shared with you in the field earlier this week. So let me turn over to the machine here. I've got On1 Photo 10 loaded. That's what I use to do my culling up front. It's faster than Lightroom, and there's no reason for me to go through an import process into Lightroom for photos that I'm ultimately going to throw away. It's just wasted time. So I like to do my upfront work in On1 and then bring only those photos I want to keep and do something with, and then bring those into the Lightroom. So here I just have a folder of images. So you can just see it's really a dump of my my memory card. And what have I got here? I've got 123 in here, and you can see there's a whole bunch of stuff, me fooling around in front of the camera, variety of compositions. You can see where I was bouncing back and forth between shooting toward the sky and shooting where the light was. So let me start up here at the top, and what I will do is I'm going to go through these things relatively quickly, and I'll try at my best to verbalize, why am I keeping this or why am I tossing it away? So let's see. Starting off with this first row of all four of these things, which one? This was the first test shot. I got it in, close to where I wanted to go shoot, and saw this composition. I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And I'm looking at all four of these kind of at the same time, and I might pick this one. Now I'm going to hit 3, put a 3-star on it. A bit about my workflow. I use star ratings to keep track of my photos. I very rarely have a 1-star photo. 2 stars is something I want to do with. Maybe it's educational, maybe it's something special or unique to me. 3 and above is something I might do something meaningful with. And so this one I'm going to keep in my catalog, mainly because I think it's indicative of the shoot. And maybe later on, if I'm going to do something, a larger project about scouting versus final images, this could be handy for it. So I'm going to keep that one. I'll just tag it with a 3. Scrolling down, this is all sorts of test shots, trying to figure out compositions with these rocks. None of these are really speaking to me. This one in particular, there's a whole big lump of foreground here that's just not fun at all. Me goofing around doing hero pose stuff, that was fun. So, maybe I'll keep a couple of those for myself just because those are neat. Some more, this is more behind the scenes type stuff. Again, you can see I've got the tripod here. I'm just clicking with handheld, checking out compositions. All these ones here, honestly, sometimes you come back and look at things after a shoot and go, what were you thinking? I have no idea what I was doing at this point. And it's probably still handheld, I don't know. But none of this stuff, as I look at it now, is speaking to me. Okay, vertical did some type of pano here. And, maybe I'll do something with that. So I'm going to do a shift and keep those for now. And again, anything I get tagged with a star, I'm going to do something with. The sky is pretty cool, but the composition is really weak. The foreground here is not good. Again, it's one of those, what exactly were you thinking? I know at this particular time of day, I was really, I was working hard to try to make a composition facing toward the sun work. I liked this foreground rock here, this thing here, and I thought there'd be some good reflections. But as I'm looking at them here, it's just not working as well. Maybe this one. So just to hedge bets, I'll pat a 2 on those things. You can tell this is a bracketed sequence: dark, moderate, and then bright. And it looks like I forgot to turn off the bracketing for that one. Now, here's where I start to get into, I think, the photos that really worked on this shoot. This is where the light was really nice golden light here. And what I'm looking at, this is the same composition over and over. Well, little variation here. It looks like I shifted a little bit. Between these two, sky's pretty similar, but the waves are slightly different. And of the two, as I'm looking at this, I like this one here because there's a little bit of extra background wave there, so I'm going to tap a 3 on that one, and then kind of move on down and see what else we have. This was more of a subject study of this rock. That was an interesting rock. I'll put a 3 on it. And this is actually taking me longer than normal because I'm talking to it and not just doing it. So usually at this point, I'll probably be through all 100 of these photos and be done. Because a lot of these are the same, right? Here's the same composition, and I'm just watching the light change. And, you know, which ones do I want to keep? Which ones do I not want? And I'm looking at a couple of things here. I'm looking at, again, these wave areas. What's the sky cloud pattern doing? They're all about the same. And anything interesting happening in this little section here, where if there's any type of wash or wave that rolls through, I might want to have a photo like that in the catalog to do something with. Yeah, a lot of these are very similar. That one looks nice, so I'll tap it with a 3. So I got a 3 on that one. Go on down here. I like this reflection that happens in the water there. Too many of them on that one. Okay, the light started to fade here a little bit. And so for me as an educator, this could be interesting to contrast what happened with light as we were, up here, much more golden. As light went behind a cloud, it got darker again, and you can see later on it starts to pop up again. Got a nice wave crest coming in. This one's pretty cool. Hit a 3 on that. Now these foregrounds are starting to look a little dark, but I know that it's really a play of light and shadow. And with the camera I'm shooting with, I've got good dynamic range there, so I'll be able to pull out details in that. And so I'm going to mark a couple of other of these ones where I've got some differences in the surf, and I may choose one over the other as I start to look at them large. I tend not to worry too much when I'm scanning through, if I'm just looking at, these are reasonably healthy sized thumbnails. It's enough for me to make an immediate judgment call. Am I going to keep the photo in or not? And when I say keep, I'll tag the ones with these stars. Those will go into Lightroom. The rest of them will just sit in this, incoming, area for, a couple months, maybe 3 months. And if at some point I don't go back to them, I know that they are complete trash and I'll just get rid of them, to keep my my disk space down. Let's see this stuff. This is kind of cool. I like this starburst. I want to see what do we have in the water pattern. So here I turn back toward the sunshine, and I like this one. I'll hit it with a 3 for now. This one's similar. I'm also looking at what do I have with the rocks there. What's visible out here versus this one's got a lot of things that are getting washed over. This one's pretty good too. That's variations on a theme. I'll just grab those couple for now. What else do we have going on? I like the starburst here, so I'm just going to grab that straight away. Maybe it's going to work out. Maybe it won't. We'll see. And then I did some after hours stuff here. The long exposure. That one actually looks pretty nice. Let's go ahead and hit that. These are pretty muddy. I don't know what happened there. Really well overexposed. This is cool. I'll take both of those. There's the patterns in this clouds are a little bit different. And that one's cool too. That's a pretty good sky. And the namesake, that's actually Bird Rock at the very end of the shoot. Here it is here again. And this is just a little bit closer of it. So of course I want to grab one of those because that's the iconic rock at this location. It's the one of the few that stays above sea level, through high tide and low tide. So that's it. That's the end of the culling. So what I'll do at this point is then from here, I would turn on my filter and just say 1 star. And it looks like I ended up selecting 27 photos out of what was 120 something. So most of these are going to stay in the bit bucket and eventually probably just disappear. But this hopefully gives you some type of insights into, what am I looking for when I'm deciding which photos to keep and which not to. The tip of the week, I guess, is you don't have to keep every photo from your photo shoot. I know sometimes we think that, every photo we shoot is precious and we want to keep them, but really, they're probably not. There's a fair number that you can cast away. And I think the mark of a good photographer is you become more self-critical as you improve your craft. And you'll recognize that this photo is just not good or this composition is poor. Now, if you're doing it for a specific reason, like you're going to be teaching someone, good comps versus bad comps, well, you want to have some bad ones in there. Or if it's a something sentimental to you, that might be family photos or event photos where, the example I like to use is, it's your child and they're up on stage and you're shooting through a crowd in an auditorium and it's crappy light. but I want that photo of my child up on stage, and I'm going to keep it no matter how technically terrible it is. That's an emotional connection. The same type of things can happen on your landscapes. You're in a place that you may not ever be able to go again. Take the photo and keep it, of course, even if it's not the 5-star, technically beautifully composed photo. It's okay, but there is some value in being critical in what you keep and what you don't. Your bank account will probably thank you for not having to buy more and more and more hard disks to hold, some mediocre photos. And that brings us to the end of this Week in Post. Let me know if you like the different style here, seeing another aspect of what I'll call post-processing, things that happen once we've got the photos in our camera and we need to get them to a final product. There's a lot of things that can happen between clicking the shutter and producing the final image. I focus a lot on the tools and bringing out colors and details and contrast. There are other things too, they're maybe more mundane. They're asset management. If you're really curious about it, I got an entire course on asset management for Lightroom, and a lot of the concepts apply to whatever asset manager you're using as well. Well, until next time, my name is Scott Davenport, and happy shooting. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sure it was awesome.